Oh, it's still hot. Good afternoon. It's the afternoon. It's about 2:10. And I've been on conference calls and business meetings all morning. Do you know why? It's because I am getting She Favor 2022 together for you. And if y'all don't hurry up and register, y'all are going to miss a treat. If you want to know about She Favor, go to www.shefavor.org because it is going to be mind-blowing. Okay, let's have a dialogue. Of course, let's have a dialogue because that's what we do. You have rolled up on the Car Chronicles Movement Nation, and we're seen every morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, your time all over the world, but Mondays I try to rest. However, we're going to have a dialogue today. So set your notification because we get ready to spring ahead. And we don't want you to miss Car Chronicles, so subscribe or set your notification so that you won't miss it. How are you, my girl, Tiana? So let's have a dialogue. I want to bring something to your attention. We're going to talk about or speak about an unspoken abuse. We're going to speak about it today. What in the world is she talking about? Well, I'm glad you're here because I'm getting ready to give you an opportunity to use something, your noggin. It's another word for brain or thinking. There's something called an unspoken abuse that I am going to bring to your attention right now. But first, in order for us to get an understanding, I've got to break something down to open up your understanding about what is the woman really talking about. I am 50 years young. That means I am 50 years old, actually. And I will be 51 in June, alongside with my husband. I am what you called a Generation X baby. So Generation X are born between 1965 to 1980, and the age range from about 40 to 55. And so I fall under that category. So what I want you to do is we're going to interact. I need you, if you're not afraid, to put up your age right now. In the comment section, just put up your age. Don't worry. Everybody has some sort of age, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. Put up your age because I want to bring something to your attention about an unspoken abuse. But I need us all, good morning to you, Simone, your sunshine too. I need us all to interact so we can get the understanding. You can go, wow. And then you could go and you can heal. So I am what you called a Generation X baby. There was something below me called a millennial, born at 1981 to 1996. So your age range about 24 to 39. Then below us, way down the line, someone said, I'm 67 years old. You're what you call a baby boomer. Your age group is between 1946 to 1964. Between the ages in 2021, statistics say 56 to 74. Then if you go all the way down, people who are in the 90s, 75, you're what you call the silent generation. Those are the ones that don't want to tell their age. Now watch this. Those are what you call the silent generation. But I want to talk to you about something called an unspoken abuse that happened somewhere within the time of Generation Z, which means you're born after 1996. So between 1996 Generation Z, I'm going to blow your mind about this generation called Generation Alpha. Generation Alpha. Yeah, that's where the problem is. Generation Alpha is your grandchildren, maybe your great-grands, or maybe somebody you have in your home that may be pushing like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. It's what you call Generation Alpha. In the mid-20s, these are our children, the millennials. These are our children. That means we're millennials and we had something called the Alpha generation or Generation Alpha. This is what we are. Why am I bringing this to your attention? The reason why I'm bringing this to your attention because there is an unspoken abuse that this generation has put upon us. It's put on the baby boomers, the silent generation, the millennials, and even some that are Generation X, depending on when you had a child. This generation is very different. They're wiser. This is the generation that understands technology. This is the generation that Googles everything and you know absolutely nothing. This is the generation that will tell you what you should do, what you better do, and what you ain't gonna do. Then I'll call the police on you if you don't do what I say. Someone said, I just caught your lie. Okay, Godfather Mac, let's do it. This is the generation that just doesn't know what to do. And they don't want to figure it out because they don't want you to tell them what to do. This is the generation that has this wonderful mechanism called marijuana. Yeah, it solves all the problem. You don't even have to go to school. Just Google it all. We're talking about this alpha generation. I'm saying this because the alpha generation is a very difficult generation because they don't understand the era in which they come in contact with. This generation in which I'm talking about, they need prayer. They need prayer more than anything because this generation has a sense of entitlement that if you don't do what I tell you to do, then you're the worst parent in the world. This generation, I'm not done. Someone said, my goodness, I wish, well, I'm just saying. This generation, someone saying this too, Lavina Thomas said this is true that. This generation doesn't have to clean their room. They don't have to do that. This generation doesn't understand that you need a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Why? Someone said, no lie detected here, because you are going to fix all of their problem, and if you don't fix their problem, then guess what? You're not a good parent at all. This generation, this alpha generation, do you know they're very difficult to teach? This generation, someone said, I have a 31 and almost 16-year-old. So if you have a 31-year-old, that means you got a millennial and you got a Generation Z living in your house. Imagine the cantankerousness that's going on around your roof. In your household, if you have children of different ages and different facets, do you know it can be very difficult to have peace in your house because one generation doesn't understand the other generation? Did you know that you can have one generation, let's just say that they're a millennial, and then all of a sudden you get a Generation Z, and how it's cantankerous in your house. They don't know how to get along because they're from two different generations. See, the Bible says that each generation shall grow wickeder and wiser. Someone said, Pastor, you're so right. I don't want to be right. I just want everybody to think today. But let me tell you about this generation. This generation will make you feel, and I'm using my words because I need you to think. Now, I got a teacher that just went on the timeline. She's a teacher, so she's going to agree with me because she teaches this generation. This generation will make you feel like you're the worst parent in the world. This generation will make you feel like you're losing your very mind. This generation does not have the respect that the baby boomers and the silent generation and Generation X and even some millennials had. This generation is very difficult. We're talking about the alpha generation. This generation doesn't understand that. I get how you deal with things, but I'm trying to understand your language. The unspoken abuse that I am going to speak to you about is how they make you feel as a parent, how they make you feel as an adult, how they make you feel as a teacher, how they make you feel as a grandparent or a grandmother. Generation, which is called the alpha generation, is a very painful generation. Now, whether you like it or not, someone said this message is right on time. Lord knows I needed this. Well, Miss Gadsden, I'm trying to help you because I know the vein in which I speak. You could do everything in the world for Generation Alpha, and it's not enough. So, whoa. Someone just said, look, hold on, wait a minute. I got a son, and he's a millennial. Don't know this is big facts. See, back in the day, you would handle each generation differently. And even though, you know, someone said, you in the vein again, Pastor, well, I'm just trying to help you. I'm just giving you what God gave me for you. Back in the day, we would have to be in the house before the street lights. Come on, remember that? We would play double dutch and we would play all of those things. But Generation Alpha, they don't want to go outside. Everything about life as you know it has changed and shifted. And it seems like even those of you who are dating and single, go on and put your hand up because you know you want here. I can tell you who you are. You ain't got to say your name. Do you know that you could be a millennial, or you could be from a silent generation, or you could be from another generation, and they look at Generation Alpha and say, I don't want to be old. I want to be young in an old body. Or I want to be young with What? Am I telling the truth? I am. See, the problem with dating now, and I'm just going to tell you what I know because I deal with all types of people from all walks of life, and this is what it is. I get people who are from the baby boomer era who want to now be a part of the alpha generation. People who are from the silent generation that want to be part of the Generation X. And no matter how you swing the pendulum, you can't get stuck in a generation that's past. So when it comes down to women and men dating and trying to get to know each other, you got people who are older in age but immature in mindset because they're looking at this alpha generation that can do whatever it wants to do, say whatever it wants to say, and they say, I missed something. Let me be immature and then let me get out here dating, and it ain't working for none of y'all. The alpha generation is a different generation that most other generations don't know how to handle. You can do whatever you want for these kids. You could pay their rent. You can buy them cars. You can buy them clothes. You can whatever it is to make them okay. You do it as a parent, and it ain't enough. Why? Because this is not the baby boomers. This is not the millennials. This is not the silent generation. This is not Generation Z. We're dealing with Generation Alpha. Generation Alpha, someone said, come on, Pastor. Generation Alpha has a sense of entitlement. Oh, Fred, when I need you, you are in a meeting, and now they want to cry. Well, always got my tissue ready. Okay, now, you're going to be okay. I'm going to help you today. Someone said, Pastor, this is on fire. I'm going to help you today. I'm trying to help you. Hold on. What I'm going to say with 1,000 people under my voice is don't you dare let, no matter what generation is going up the timeline, but specifically Generation Alpha, tell you that you're not a good parent. The unspoken abuse is a level of manipulation that they have mastered because this generation is wise. It's a level of manipulation. Shanice Bean, miss you, how you doing? This manipulative behavior that Generation Alpha has is beyond spoiled. They go beyond the word spoil, it's entitlement. That if you don't applaud me, even if I fail, you're not a good parent. Hold on. Because back in the day when we were in the millennial generation or baby boomers or the silent generation, did you know that we would have to figure things out by ourselves? But you know what the alpha generation does? They make you feel guilty because you just ain't doing it for them. Yeah. So indeed, this is a conversation someone said that needs to be happening. Well, I'm trying to have it. Do you know that the alpha generation, that's the generation that has a sense of entitlement? And if you don't pay my bills, don't correct me when I'm wrong now. No. But what this generation does, it uses such a manipulative sense of entitlement behavior that's toxic. This toxic behavior, they throw it on you. And they want you to wear not just their mistakes. They need somebody blamed. Now, wait, hold on. It might be some parents that you didn't do a good job at parenting at all. I want to talk to the ones that are good parents and you're doing all you can, but yet still they make you feel like you're the worst person in the world because you said no. Or you said, I'm going to need you to get a job. Hold on, what about this one? I'm going to need you to get it together. Help me pay a bill. Now, when you're from another generation and you get the mindset of the alpha generation, we want to know what's wrong with you. What happened to you? Something wrong. It's deep here. Deeper than we can imagine because at some age, especially if you're over 21, you're supposed to know better. When you are stuck with the mentality that I want you to pay for everything that I did wrong and applaud me even in my wrong, we got a problem. So you know what happens? They manipulate you as a parent. They say you're not a good parent at all. I'm this way because of you. Now it may be somebody that wasn't a good parent and you did some things and you had a conversation, you conversed with them about it and you said, I'm sorry that I was not in a good place to parent you appropriately, but you're not going to make me wear this. I've apologized. I've done the best that I can given my circumstances, but what you're not going to do, you're not going to blame me because you don't want to get on your feet. You are not going to blame me because you don't want to get a job. You're not going to blame me when I've apologized for everything that's going wrong in your life. Well, let me tell you about Generation Alpha. They'll make you wear that, wear that, wear that. They will make you wear that to an early grave. In fact, they'll put the pressure on you till you get one there quicker. Hold on. Now, wait. I guess someone said, oh my goodness, LaWanda Tharp, hi. Come on now. I don't want you to cry. I didn't get on here to make you to cry. I only am going to tell you what God has placed in my spirit. It is very abusive. It's a mental anguish and torment that is not fair to you when you're a good mother, when you're a good father, or you've done the best that you can given your circumstance. But see, what they have done is they're abusive because they've mastered manipulation. They have. They've mastered telling you all the things that you did wrong and why they won't get it together because of you. Wait, hold on. You can write a whole book. See, I'm here studying now. You could take a whole book of things that you've done to get them on the right path, and they will always get off of it because they don't want to be responsible. Now, First Lady dates. I'm not going to read that. I'm not going to read that. If everyone else wants to read it, they can, but I'm not going to read that. No matter if you have adopted them, no matter if you birthed them, no matter if you inherit them from a daughter or son that didn't want to do what they were supposed to do. You do not wear the mental abuse that your children are placing on you, and you know without a shadow of a doubt, you've been a good parent. It's a very hard thing when your children tell you that, I'm going to say this, they don't want to live anymore because you won't pay their rent. Now, I'm going to say something. You cannot allow them to be a victim, to be victimized, because they're trying to manipulate you to do everything they want you to do. I was watching something the other day. Me and Fred almost fell out the bed because we were laughing so hard at this David Chappelle series that's on with this man. His name is Earthquake or Hurricane, one of his names. And he said, with this generation, the only thing that you need to do is turn off the Wi-Fi. If you turn off the Wi-Fi, he said, I've been telling my son to take that trash out for the past 3 days. But honey, I didn't have to do nothing. All I did is I turned off the Wi-Fi. He ran downstairs and said, Dad, it ain't no Wi-Fi. He said, it ain't gonna be no Wi-Fi unless you take out that trash. He said his son got so angry with him because he turned off the Wi-Fi, he wrote a whole suicide note. And he said, I don't understand this generation. This ain't no joke. This ain't funny. Because these different generations have now came to their own sense of what reality is and get mad at you because you are not going to entertain their foolish behavior or their foolishness. He said something, child, that blew my mind. He said, if you clean up this house, you might see 5G in your future. Who'd ever thought? Remember when we would get in trouble? Man, we couldn't wait. Well, we would lock ourselves in a room and act like we was cleaning up because if mom and daddy came home and we wasn't doing what we was supposed to do, we knew that we was going to get it. But this generation, turn off the Wi-Fi. The Alpha generation is a whole different conundrum of problems that mentally you got to prepare yourself to raise. Now, when your kids were little, you just pat them on the booty, you put on some music, or you tell them, let's go stay in the corner. Listen, I'm going to talk about my daughter for a moment, just this one moment. I remember that timeout did not work in my house when she was a little girl because she did something. And she turned to me, and this is what she said. She says, I'm going to go put myself on timeout, okay? Who are you talking to? Yes. Her response was, and this is what we're talking about. Remember, we're talking about this generation. She is Generation Z. She said, I am going to put myself on timeout. That's what she said. I realized that method wasn't working no more. So we had to try something else. So here it is, Generation Z. They're not afraid of timeout. That don't work. They ain't afraid of the police. That don't work. They ain't afraid of nothing. They will be afraid if you turn off the Wi-Fi. They might be afraid if you say, someone said, take their video games. Take the video games. Okay, somebody said, take their video game. Unplug the PS5 and the Xbox 5 and all that, do all of that stuff. No, that don't work. See, one thing about this generation, they're not afraid of consequences. Now you could cry. They're not afraid of consequences because they live in a world of technology. Einstein said something profound. Einstein said that technology is not going to make too many smart people. Because what happens is this generation, we are now in a technologically society or technology society where people Google everything or everything is at their disposal. And so therefore they feel like they don't have to listen anymore. So now you know what happens? Guidance is no longer needed. Did you know that? You know why your kids won't listen to you? Because guidance is no longer needed because they got Google. They Google it. They TikTok everything. And I'm not against it. Trust me, I love social media. However, do you know that when all that goes away, at some point in time, you got to listen to your parent? Did you know the Bible says, obey your mother and father? That's the first rule of commandment. It's the first rule of promise. And most of these kids, you forget that you could save your life and save yourself making a whole lot of mistakes if you just turn off TikTok and turn off the Wi-Fi and come away from the computer and sit and talk to some wisdom. It is a principal thing. Generation Alpha is a very different generation. They're telling you what they want you to respect. They're telling you what they believe is true. They're telling you it's what I say and what I want, and that matters, and your opinion is no longer relevant or needed because I said this is how I feel. In this generation, they don't want to go to nobody's church. Please, are you kidding? Everybody's spiritual. This generation now, someone said Generation X and Y is about technology and science. Sure is. But do you know miracles still work when science stops working? Watch this. So what this generation does, it now says, I don't have to respect the voice because computers is my choice. Do you know getting your son to go to church or your daughter to go to church, that's just a thing of the past. They've now discovered, like my friend Bishop Amir said, their own sense of what God is. So now y'all are fighting because you're like, in me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. I get that. But what do you do when your alpha generation says, I don't want to serve your God? What do you do when your alpha generation says, in fact, I'll manipulate you to the point where you become tearfully sorrow and I'll force you to do what I say? That is abuse. Anytime you're trying to force someone to do what you say, and then you turn around and you become manipulative, or you turn around and say you're going to hurt yourself or others because you're not doing what I want you to do, that's abuse. It's abuse, and it's an unspoken abuse that many parents around the world are dealing with. Yours included. It's an abuse that, unfortunately, that most parents don't want to talk about. Yeah. Someone said, this is real talk. This is real talk. No hustle. No wonder. Thank you. It is a parent right now. Not me. I'm good. Because I'm the type of parent, I parent in a way that most people would just be like, you didn't do that. Yes, I did. I'm a different type of parent. I parent differently. Like if I told you some of the stuff that I did during my parenting time, my kids love me. You know, you get one or two that get a hiccup, but they know when they go crazy, I go crazier. That's the type of parent I am. I'm the type of parent, when you go crazy, I go crazier. So you can't out crazy my crazy. Got it? All right, we got to understand. Okay. And so I have a lot of parents that call me, and I remember one young lady called me and she was in tears. She was in tears and she was crying, and she was like, my daughter is driving me crazy, Pastor. What am I supposed to do? She's driving me crazy. And I said, what? Put that half on the phone. And I was going crazy. And when I looked in the camera and I said, how old is she? And she said, 6. Yeah, she said 6. She said 6 years old. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 years old. She said 6. She was 6 years old. And I said, I don't understand. And she said, the stuff that she is saying to me is hurting me so bad. Now, I'm going to say this now. Some of the worst pain that you could experience is really not that of a relationship, is that of a child. You can have children that hurt you worse than any heartbreak you could ever experience in your life, especially if you're doing everything for them. Do you know there is a parent that's going through an unspoken abuse because of their children? The children said, you ain't a good mother. You ain't a good father. What about this one? I hate you. Remember that one? Remember that one? Hold on. Here's another one. Hold on. Here's another one. I don't know know what y'all doing. I don't know if y'all crying or laughing. Some people crying, some people laughing. It's a conundrum of emotions going on. But y'all know I'm telling the truth. What about this one? I wish you would die. Oh, that's a good one. Remember that? Hold on, wait a minute. What about this one? When your kids get involved with people that ain't good for them, and you know all too well that that's not good for them because it wasn't good for you, and you're trying to keep them from avoiding mistakes that they made, and they get mad at you. What about that one? Huh? What about that one? Someone said they choking off their spit. Don't choke. Don't choke. Lord, they said you ain't never lied, MJ. Your children could give you the greatest heartbreak without a question. Someone said, this is me and my daughter last week. I was ready to fight. Now, this is what she's saying. Shanice Bean said it. What about mothers? Because Shanice just said it. That go into full-fledged boxing matches with their daughters and their sons. Or what about fathers, if you're around, that, listen, don't judge me now, because remember, I talk to people all over the world. What about people that go into full-fledged boxing matches with their kids? Your social media, the way they fight with these kids, oh my goodness, I said, what in the bejesus? They go into full-fledged boxing matches with their kids. And then you get some parents, because you fighting your child because your child is the one that's wrong, but they want you to eat their mistakes. Are you serious? You serious? You want your child, you go into a full-fledged boxing match with your child. Doesn't make any sense. This is real. This is an unspoken pain that nobody wants to talk about. Y'all want to judge Kirk Franklin? Y'all want to judge Kirk Franklin because he got into it with his son. And y'all was saying, well, what did he do? Your child's going to be 18. And when your child gets 18, it is no longer in your hands because the state says that they're now considered legally an adult. What do? When you're trying to put them on a path, ooh, these comments are very interesting because if you read some of them, it'll tell you ain't no lie detected in what I'm saying. What do you do when your child gets a certain age and they tell you to go to hell? Someone said, I totally agree with you. And you're doing everything under the sun to help them. Now, some of them may have something going on, whether it's psychologically or mentally. But don't misinterpret spoiled behavior or a sense of entitlement or a child that doesn't want to be accountable for someone that unfortunately has something going on psychologically. There are children that want you to wear it, and you a good parent. It's children right now that are mentally abusing their parents by manipulation. It is parents right now, you feel like you are going crazy because your child has mentally tormented you. Someone said, you're telling the truth, Pastor. Experience is a teacher. Now, Bonnie, here we go. Glad you said it. Bonnie just said, Bonnie D, that experience is a great teacher. A good mother would love for that child not to get the experience that will cause them to be in a whole lot of pain and unnecessary heartbreak. We try to avoid that, right? But suppose I told you that a good parent really doesn't want to see a child fail. So the mental abuse and the silent abuse is you don't want to see your child fail, but it is tormenting me keeping them in my house. I don't want to see my child fail, but it's mentally causing me financial exhaustion, spiritually exhaustion. I am exhausted in my mind, my body, my spirit, and my soul, and they'll never get it. So you back away. I remember God taught me something. He said, let them fall. I won't let them fail. He said, let them fall. I won't let them fail. Which means sometimes someone said, how can this be fixed? Sometimes, as hard as it is, you have to take your hand off the situation and you got to let them fall. That's hard, right? It's hard, but let me help you with something. I'm going to sing you a song. You ready? If you want to hear my song, just give a thumbs up. if you want to hear my song, give a thumbs up. Watch this. Ready? Okay. Okay, I got thumbs up. Blocking you blesses me. Blocking you. Yeah. Did you know you could put your kids on your block list? You could block them long enough so they could feel it just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah. Block them. Someone said, me and my mom just had this conversation. Jimmy Horton, bless you. Block them. Put them on your block list. Your kids, put them on your block list. If you can go a good 30 days, a week, 2 days, kind of pace yourself and block them jokers. You don't have to entertain their buffoonery. And sometimes what you got to do is block them and maybe let somebody else deal with it. What do you do when the parent that's called the father or the mother or whatever your situation is MIA? They don't want no parts of it. Even if they created the mess or not, they don't want no parts of it. What you do is you block them. And you let them deal with their issues through somebody else. Somebody else that ain't overly exhausted, overwhelmed, a mentor, a pastor, a sister, a brother, an uncle, the police, a therapist. That's a good one. I'm going to tell you what I did to one of my children. 2 of them, actually. I took one bill, just one, and I'm going to give it to you. And tell them you'll help them with their situation if they go to therapy. I'll help you if you go see a psychiatrist. And the minute you stop going to therapy and seeing a psychiatrist, we done. And if they say, nah, I don't want to do that, that lets you know they don't want to be accountable. They like the way they are. You're a good parent. I'm going to say this. You're a good parent. You're a good parent. Lord, you're a good parent. You're a good parent. Unfortunately, the abuse that you have is from an unfortunate situation called a bad child. Or a child that's misunderstood. Or a child that you spoil. Or a child that have a sense of entitlement. No matter which way the pendulum swung, you are a good parent. You got some parents that didn't do a good job, and unfortunately, situations have allowed them to be in a bad place, and unfortunately, a child has to pay for that. But even if you got yourself together and you clean yourself up and you're on a better path, they can learn a lesson from you. That I once was that, but now I'm this. Learn from me. Children don't want to learn from their mistakes. They want you to pay for them. They make mistakes and they want you to pay for them. You have got to stop the bleeding. I know. It's hard. One of the hardest things that you could do is take your hand off of a child that you've spoiled. Sometimes what we do is we overcompensate because the other parent is absent. Yeah, someone said they are ungrateful. Sometimes what you do is you overcompensate because the other parent is absent. Sometimes you may feel guilty because you didn't do something. Your child knows that. And unfortunately, this generation is using it to their advantage. They're melting this. Listen, I'm going to say this with 1,200 people watching me. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. And don't video sound bite my words. Let's get an understanding. Depression is very real. But this generation, Generation Alpha, I believe they're taking advantage of that situation, which is so serious. This generation is taking advantage of the social media that is shedding light upon, unfortunately, people taking their own lives. And they're using it. And if you don't pay a bill, I'm going to take my life. If you don't do that, whatever you say, no, I can't do that. The first thing they do is they tell you you're a bad parent. They use depression and they say, I'm going to take my life. And that's wrong. Because there are people who seriously are dealing with these illnesses that don't need someone playing the victim to be victimized because they can't have their way. It's not fair. It's not fair for you to tell your parent that you want to take your life because they can't help you or they choose not to any longer. It's not fair for you to be manipulative and tell them they're horrible parents and they you hate them and all of those things. It's wrong. Do you know at some point in time within your life, you're going to grow up and you're going to be a parent. And if, God forbid, you have a child that turns around and say the things and do the things and treat you the way that you've treated your parent, you're going to see all along that what we were telling you was right. That you're going to reap what you sow, even when it comes down to your parents. You're a good parent. I just take a moment out of my day-to-day to tell you that you're doing a great job. And you've done the best that you can, given your circumstances. Don't you dare let this generation rob you of all the hard work, all the late nights, and everything that you've done. Taking them to soccer, basketball practice, ballet recitals, football practice. You don't even know nothing about no algebra, but you did algebra, did the best you can with math. Don't you dare let these children put it in your face that you did this and you ain't did. Now, mind you, it's some parents out here that you ain't parent well. But even if that's the case, you redeem yourself by showing them a more excellent way. And you saying, now learn from me. The hardest things that you could do is try to teach a child that does not want to be taught, that loves being manipulative, that does not want to change. They don't want to work. If your child does not want to work, now listen here. If you got a grown child, now when you remember, the youngest of the bunch of 8 is 20. But after a certain age, if you don't want to work, it ain't on me. Someone said 33, 29, and 21. What you have to understand, you've done your part. We have done our part. I am saying to you, you're a good parent. And even though they try to make you and manipulate you that you're not, tell them to go somewhere and make a list of all the wonderful things that you've done for them and all the sacrifices that you made and see what their response is. Some of you are being mentally abused by your children, and it's not right. This generation Alpha is dangerous. Jackie said it. They have a sense of entitlement and they know everything. They blame you for everything. They use all kind of vices to get you to lose sleep at night. You be like, you be afraid to even leave the house because you're afraid of what they're going to do because of the threats that they made. They made threats about, you going to come in here and you ain't going to see it. I'm not going to. Whatever it is, it's torment. What they're doing is they're tormenting you. They're tormenting you. You're afraid to go to sleep. You're afraid to leave the house. You're afraid. You hide all the knives. You just afraid to sleep at night. Some parents are even afraid to sleep at night because of their children. Something's got to give. Something has got to give. If you have time, do that. Get help. Now, let me tell you what you should do. Someone say, great topic. Hold on, cotton candy. Let me help you. Let me help you with something. Don't go away because I'm getting ready to give you some solid advice. I know that most people, you don't want to call the police on your children. You don't want to do that unless you're in danger. I say take advantage of that. But you know that there are some police officers that are specialties in psychological issues, the mentally ill. The next time your child says something preposterous or something of that nature, sometimes what you have to do is you have to kind of report your own children. Yeah. D. McLean, hold on, I'm going to address that. You have to report your own children and say, what I'm going to do, if you threaten me like that, or if you threaten yourself like that, I'm going to call. Someone said, I'm so on this message right now. Tamara, bless your heart. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call and I'm going to have your rights taken away from you. Your rights. That means I don't care how old you are. I am going to have your rights taken away from you, which means this. I am going to take away your rights to make conscious decisions because clearly you are not in the right frame of mind. What you do is you go to court and you take away your child's rights. That means if you say keep them on medication, someone say, yup, they stay on medication. If they don't want, yep, that's right. Healing is better. Yep, you sure can. If they don't want to take their medication, you can take away their rights. And they can be on medication. Yep, they can be on medication. Sure can. And you can do everything in your power to get them help. That's where we are. That's where we are. Someone said, I don't have the rights to see my grandchildren. Well, why not? Do you know you can go to court and there is something called grandparents' rights? If you're a good parent, if you're a good parent, if you're a good parent, you know what you could do? You could go to the courts and you could file a petition to have grandparent rights for your children where they have no choice to drop them off or pick them off or get in trouble by the law. I have all kind of friends. I've got 5 attorneys and I keep them all on deck for people. Trust me. I am saying the mind manipulating demonic voices that torment you from a very manipulative, overbearing, spoiled, entitled brat has to stop. Because that is an unspoken abuse that's not fair to you. Nobody wants to talk about this topic. Everybody want to brush it under the rug, but there are parents that are being tormented because of their manipulative children, and especially the generation called Alpha. I am Pastor Jameliah, and I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. Love you. Bye. Hey, Mitch, my cousin is on here. He's a detective. How are you?